guys, how's it going? Today we've got a couple of fun projects. First off, I want to give you an update on the 3 potted lemon trees that we have here in the back of the greenhouse, 2 of which have fruit. I haven't counted, but there's quite a few lemons, like especially on this one, and there's maybe 4 or 5 on this tree. The pink lemonade lemon does not have any on it currently. We're going to actually harvest some of these lemons today, and we're going to take them into the kitchen and make a lemon pistachio rum cake with a lemon glaze. It sounds so good. It's a new recipe to me. We will link it down below, but we'll do that together. Benjamin said that he may want to help me with the baking this afternoon, so that will be fun. But we've also got some white cyclamen sitting here in the greenhouse. In fact, I'll show them to you, some of which look a little sad. They need to be groomed, but I thought, you know, we should get these cleaned up, potted, and brought inside so that we can enjoy them while they're still in bloom. Look at them, they're so pretty. I mean, they clearly need to be groomed up, especially this one right here. This one looks like it dried out a little bit. And then I'm going to clean the leaves off as best I can. You can see the hard water staining on the surface there, and that's what happens if you don't get right to the root zone with the hose. If they get any water splashed on the top of the leaves, this is what our water does to stuff. Oh, but I think we can make them look really pretty. So these 3 plants right here, they're looking pretty good. They were in here the same night that the kumquat was in here, and it got really cold, and I had the doors open, the sides up, no heat on, and these look way better than the kumquat does. The kumquat's leaves all turned yellow. These are somewhat still green, which is nice. I had them all potted up in terracotta containers in our front sun porch, and I wintered them over. Like, we had them for a summer up there, and then I wintered them over, and then they got scale really, really bad. And citrus for us, they get scale, mealybugs, and spider mites so bad. And that's why I've kind of left them back here. I haven't taken them into the Hartley, and I did move the kumquat in there. I might move them in there at some point, just because the temperature does stay more even in there. In this greenhouse, the heater comes on and it heats it up quite a lot, and then it goes all the way down to 50, which citrus doesn't mind, but then it heats back up like on and off all throughout the day. It's like really warm, cool, really warm, cool. And I don't know that every plant likes that. These are clearly doing okay though. And these did not take on a yellow tone like the kumquat did when they were subjected to a cold night where I had doors open, all the sides were up, and there was no heat running in here. I just didn't think about it. It got really cold. The kumquat was the most affected. And these, there's a little yellowing, but not much. They look pretty good. And I think I've got a couple of pots that might be big enough to repot these. I think Bethany bumped these up out of the smaller terracotta when they started to grow a bit, and we didn't have anything big enough, so we used a couple of big tree containers, just recycled these. But this one right here, I haven't counted, but let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 lemons right now, which is so much fun. I love it. And they're nice and soft, some of them are a little bit more firm. And then this one right here, I think we've got 5. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're nice size. These are not close to being ripe. They're still pretty firm. And then the pink lemonade, which has got a beautiful variegation to its leaves, and they're lighter green, just all the time. They're lighter green with that creamy white variegation. This one does not have any fruit on it currently, but I do see some new growth. Look at that. That's exciting. And then right next to it, we have the smaller of the 2 avocado trees that Erin ordered for us this summer, and they're starting to put on some new growth as well. And there's the big one. It pretty much looks exactly the same as when we first potted it. I don't know, we'll see. I guess it's maybe a little less droopy. As far as keeping citrus inside over the winter, I'll just share my experience with you. First off, I know that they want really bright light, like the brightest spot you can give them. If they weren't sitting here in the greenhouse, I would probably make sure that they were in the front sun porch where those windows face south, so it's light all day long. A western facing window is also really good because they get that stronger light the latter part of the day. I would say 6 to 8 hours plus of bright light if you can swing it. Temperature wise, I mean, in here, I don't think it goes below 50. Up in the front sun porch, when I kept him in there during the winter, I just kept a floor heater on that would kick on if it got like to between 38 and 40 degrees. So it never really went below 40 in there, and they were totally fine. They did wonderfully at that temperature. I cut way back on water in the winter time. I mean, everything is using less water. When it's cooler out, they're just not needing it. Plus, they're kind of semi-dormant when they're in here. I mean, clearly they are pushing some new growth. They're still, like, there's a little baby lemon right here. Look at that. So cute. So they do still need water, and you can see this one I just watered yesterday, and I make sure it's not like sopping wet, but you can see that the soil is dark. It's not even holding together. But what I'll do is make sure that the top couple of inches dry out in these containers before I water again. And the last thing is fertilizing. Knowing when to fertilize, that seemed to be like the big question mark for me when I very first started taking care of citrus in containers. Their active growing season is spring and summer, pretty much like everything else. So especially with containerized plants, containerized citrus, you'll want to fertilize them once a month. We use a citrus tone. In fact, I just worked some citrus tone into the soil when I repotted the kumquat this last week. So I could come in and do a little bit of an application of citrus tone right now, but they aren't really, you know, utilizing a ton of nutrients during the semi-dormant time of year when they're in here. So today I'm just gonna make a top dress application of compost. And I think that's the best thing to do in the wintertime. Just kind of condition that soil, have a little something for them to feed on, and then resume your normal fertilizing schedule once the active growing season starts up again. So I'm gonna take some Land and Sea here, which I was just using as a kneeling pad, and it came open. So a top dress, it's not a lot. You know, you're just putting a bunch of this compost around. I should have done this yesterday before I watered it in. I mean, you don't want to bury up the stem a whole bunch, so be mindful of that. This needs to be repotted. Look how much it's sunk in this pot. Like, where does the soil go? It doesn't make any sense. So this one is done, and as we water it, the nutrients will work its way down into the root system of the plant. I'm just gonna pour some in this big container. So that one's all done. I'm gonna go ahead and top dress our avocado while we're at it. Looking at this, like maybe I should have buried it deeper. I don't know. And our big one, which has a stalk right here. Do you see that? I had an amaranth self-seed in here, and it grew so tall. It grew up through the citrus, and then we had a big amaranth bloom up here. All done with the compost. That's it for maintenance during the winter, really, other than, you know, inspecting the leaves, making sure that we don't have any insect problems beginning to occur. And it doesn't take much. I mean, it's just such a light layer on the top of all of these. I went ahead and top dressed the big avocado as well. It took about half a bag, and that's all I'll do with these until we start fertilizing with the citrus tone in spring. Okay, so now we're just gonna pick a few of these to bring inside. I think 4 will do it, and they smell amazing. There's a huge difference between harvesting your own and buying them at the store. You know, some crops I can't tell. Potatoes, I could buy at the store. It tastes exactly the same as the potatoes I harvest from my own field. I like the thought of growing my own because I know what I've, you know, put in the ground, and I know all of that business. So I still grow them, but I can't really taste a difference. These I can, like they are perfuming the air. You mess with the leaves even a little bit, like groom up the plant, it's gonna perfume the air. It's just intense. The level of intensity is amazing. You ready to go do some cooking, Benjamin? Or you been eating your snacks? Are you all full up of snacks? Yes, sir. That's what I like. All right, guys, we've got the lemons back in the house, as well as everything else I think we're gonna need to get this recipe done. They smell awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, rereading back through the recipe, I don't think we're gonna need all 4 of them, but that's okay.
Maybe we just need to do 2.
Probably 2. We're gonna need the zest, which is the outer part.
3 or 2?
I think just 2 might do it.
Yeah, let's see, okay?
We're gonna use fresh juice and zest. I've got 3 sticks of butter that are at room temperature. We've got kosher salt. We've got 2 cups of shelled pistachios. And Aaron, bless him, stood here and helped me shell all of these pistachios. I couldn't find them without the shells, so it was just one of those things, labor of love today. So these pistachios we're going to be putting into our little mini food processor, and we're gonna grind them up to a really fine kind of consistency. And then we've got vanilla, which Aaron's mom brought back for us from Mexico. We've got our rum, we've got sugar, we've got flour, and 4 eggs that are also at room temperature.
Sugar.
Sugar, your favorite? Yeah. I've already prepared our pan, so I just greased it, and there's like a little flour layer there. And then the lemon glaze is a type that's not like a powdered sugar type glaze. You use actual granulated sugar, and you dissolve it with some lemon juice and water. And what else? lemon juice, water, a pinch of kosher salt, and then you take it off the heat and add a little vanilla. So it's like a little bit of a clear glaze that we're gonna be putting over the top, but we can't do that until it's completely cool. So I think what we're gonna do is just start in. We'll capture as much of the project as we can, and then we'll show you the end result. While it's baking though, once we put it in the oven, we'll head out to the greenhouse and get all the cyclamens potted. You know what to do with that, don't you? This is the best citrus juicer ever.
Are we going to put it?
Yeah, we have to cut them first.
Like that?
Yep.
Oh,
We gotta cut them in half first.
Like squish.
Yeah, squish the juice into there. So anyway, here we go, dude. So this is what the batter looks like. It's a super thick, sticky kind of batter. I did add extra lemon zest because I tasted it and I felt like it needed a little bit more brightness and a tiny bit more rum just for extra liquid. So I don't know, we'll see what happens here. So we're baking for 55 to 60 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, so I think we're gonna take the quick approach by not actually repotting the cyclamen. Instead, I think we're gonna sink them down in this basket, tuck some moss around. It'll be lightweight, easy to move, water protected, like the surface will be protected. I happen to have a saucer that kind of fits perfectly, almost. As we were in there prepping our cake, I got to thinking about how much we actually use the island in the kitchen. When we first moved into this house, whenever a new holiday would roll around, I would create some kind of a centerpiece that was either, you couldn't move it, it just needed to stay there, or it was a huge pain to move it. But whenever we have like family over for dinner, or whenever we're doing cooking projects, I clear that whole island off so we've got a bunch of space to lay out our food and plates and napkins and all that kind of thing. We just use that surface a lot. So I thought, you know, this is going to be a better approach. One, because we can move this basket around so easy and it's lightweight. And two, we can reuse the cyclamen in a few weeks after we're done enjoying them on the island. So we need to go around and, you know, I'll pull tags out of them. We'll groom up all of the leaves around the outside that don't look good, or anything that's, you know, spent on the inside. And then we're just gonna tuck them in. And I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I've got my timer set. So I only set it for 30 minutes, even though we need to bake for 55 to 60, so that I can run in and check it to make sure I didn't need to put foil over the top so it didn't brown too much. So anyway, time was a ticking. I'm gonna get this done. I got it all done. It looks really pretty and so simple. So I ended up lining the inside of the basket with a burlap sack because I happen to have one extra from Dahlia Packing sitting on the table. And that covered the whole plastic saucer, which you can't really see that much, but you could get little views of it through the little slats here. So the burlap sack went in first, and then the saucer, and then the cyclamen. And I ended up only using 4. I had 6 in there, like 5 around and then 1 in the center, and it just looked way too close together. So I took 2 out, and I used little bits of moss underneath the pots to kind of bump them up if I needed them to be bumped up, or kind of tip them a little bit. And it turned out really pretty. I mean, you can shake this thing and it's pretty secure in there. And then I took little pieces of pine, which we had left over, sitting here on this table from our wreath making night. And it's perfect because they were all cut into smaller pieces to make wreaths. So I just grabbed a bunch of those and worked them in throughout around the edges just to add a little bit more of a winter touch. And then I went back behind the barn and grabbed a couple of little branches from our Halloween pot branches. They're off of our lilac on the west side, and I had cut some big branches to use in the pots up in the Persephone garden. Anyway, I just kind of took a few of the smaller branches off the sides, and I think that added a nice little bit of vertical interest here, which was needed. Just very simple, very lightweight, so nice. And I have about 5 minutes left on my timer, so we're gonna go in and check the cake. Hopefully all is well in there. It all came out.
What?
Huh? Nothing? All right, guys, it is the next day. It got a little bit late yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that the cake had fully cooled to put the glaze on it. So anyway, that is done. I cut a piece of it. We're gonna head out to the Hartley to try it because I need to water some plants out there anyway. And we did get the centerpiece done, which I absolutely love. Look at how pretty and simple that is. I love the branches, I love the pine, and of course the white blooms, which that will take us into January right there. I mean, it's very pretty for Christmas time as well, but also just a nice winter display. And the fact that it's lightweight and easy to take apart when we're done with it is even better. There's our cake. It's looking and feeling pretty heavy, but it smells good. So let's take it out to the Hartley and give it a shot. Oh, I forgot all the plants are on the table. We're gonna have to clear a spot quick. All right, guys, I got the table cleared off. I got our centerpiece put back and lit. So we've got the mood set. I also have a cup of coffee because I think I'm gonna need it for this cake. I don't know about this, you guys. I usually can tell when I read a recipe if it's gonna turn out or not, but when it comes to rum cake, I am kind of at a loss because I don't make rum cake very often, especially not one that's loaded with nuts. So anyway, here goes. That's not bad. I mean, definitely you need a cup of coffee because it's a pretty heavy cake. But the pistachios, like bringing that heftiness to the cake, they do add a wonderful flavor. I'm a huge pistachio fan though. I can taste the brightness of the lemons mostly in the glaze. It's a very sweet, very bright sort of glaze. that's very tasty. I almost think maybe poking holes, like little itty bitty holes around the top of the cake so that the glaze could get in, or maybe if I would have glazed it yesterday when it was still slightly warm so that the cake would be a little bit more accepting of maybe soaking in some of the glaze, that would be amazing too. I gotta be honest, last night I told Aaron, I don't know if I'm gonna share this recipe. Russell, what are you doing in here? You're not even supposed to be in here. Oh my goodness. I just wasn't sure. It just felt so heavy and I thought, oh, this is gonna be way too dense. But it honestly, when I put it in my mouth, it doesn't crumble, but there is a certain lightness to it. It's weird. I'm not gonna say it's in like my top favorites for cake because I do prefer that I could taste a tiny bit of that rum. I do like rum cake quite a lot. So I was hoping to taste a little bit more of that. But there's a couple things that I love about this. One, we got to use our own lemons from our own tree, which is just amazing. And two, Benjamin and I got some good time together cooking, and he learned how to zest a lemon, the difference between the zest part and like the pith beneath it. And I think that those are invaluable lessons, and I love spending time doing that with him. We actually waited on purpose for Samantha to go down for her nap because she likes to get involved too, but sometimes I like to wait until just Benjamin and I can do a specific project together, or Samantha and I could do a specific project together so I can spend some more dedicated time. And Benjamin and I have done quite a lot of cooking together throughout the years, so that was a really fun time. And I do love how our centerpiece turned out. I love that our citrus have a little bit of extra food going for them with the compost, and it's just fun to update you guys where we're at with that. I was looking at some of our containers that we have. We have some of the large, I think they're called the lemon container from Unique Stone. I think those might be big enough to house those 2 citrus that are in the plastic pots. I don't know if we can see them. They're out this way. There's an annual grass in there and white pansies and ivy. So I might get those cleaned out here, maybe after they're done setting all their fruit and we've harvested them all, and we'll get them repotted. I'm actually thinking about retooling this whole area, this side here and this side here, and so I can bring in some bigger potted things because I think I would like to have some big citrus in here. I'm just not sure exactly how to go about it. And we've got all the new plants that are sitting up there on the table. There's a couple right here, and there's a few sitting there on the ground. It's an interesting space out here because while it is a greenhouse and we could be using this for, you know, production and seed starting and things like that, I love having a dining table and chairs out here, and I want to keep that very clear around it so that it doesn't get too tight to move around in here. So the more we move in here, the more I have to be strategic about how we place things, and I don't really like it when everything is too much too. So I want to make sure that there's like some space between things and things have airflow, and it doesn't look too crowded, which we're heading toward that territory at the moment. But for now, I'm just going to sit in here and enjoy the rest of our cake. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.